Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Circle of the Earth Fellowship. We got a good one for you today. We're going to be talking about predictive programming and how they all put it in our eyes every day and all through their ways. But before we get in that, we'll go ahead and say hello to those who joined us on the panel tonight and do a little house cleaning, and then we'll get into the subject. Got a lot of videos and things to talk about. So let's start getting into it. So first of all, we'll say hello to that is not supposed to be up yet. There we go. We'll start with our dear brother Robert. Robert, how you doing? Hope your Passover was had a good Passover, and I hope you're having a good week of unleavened bread. If to those who celebrating, but good to see you, bro.
I'm doing well, thank you. I see. So Marsha's sick, or she's not doing well. So I thought I'd go get a wig, but no, I think I'll pass the wig. I still got my natural, so
No wig tonight, guys. Sorry about that. We'll have to wait till next week. Well, sweet. Good to see you, man, and excited to talk about this. You had a lot to share, so I'm excited to hear from you on those clips. But yeah, let's jump over to Curtis. Welcome, brothers. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, brothers. Yeah, it's going to be a great one tonight, guys. Predictive programming is one of the first things that I started to look into when I got into all the conspiracies. Really leads into everything else, obviously, considering it's predictive programming. So yeah, looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, glad to have you again. And Kyle, we just got to spend Passover together. Tyler Porter was with us as well. So that was really awesome to see you and be able to hug you and get to chat with you. So good to see you
It was.
to the show, man.
Good to see you too, brother. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, that was awesome. Great Passover. My first ever Passover meal with actual other believing individuals. So it was really a edifying time that I appreciated. So thank you for having me over. That
Oh
was
yeah,
awesome.
it was our pleasure for sure.
And as for our topic tonight, yeah, this is something I think people are becoming more aware of. But I'd say it's one of those things that I think every truther knows where that the enemy has to, I guess, plant a certain amount of the truth in what they do so that their spell or however their tactics work, they have to tell us at least a little bit of what they do. And I believe this is the method of which they kind of unveil those things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's totally a multi-layered. There's a multi-layered purpose there. It's not just to let people know. It's not. There's a whole bunch of elements to it, and I'm excited to talk about. So thanks for bringing that up. Sweet. And then last but not least, we got our Frankie B. Welcome, brother. How you doing?
Hello, hello, hello. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Get ready for another good show. We predicted this show 14 weeks ago.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yes, yes.
Sweet. Well, welcome, bro, and I hope you're excited to talk about this topic because, like, as other panel members, kind of talk about those within the truth community, totally at some point has hit on this subject, right? Because it's a pretty big subject and it's pretty out there. Because you get to a point in research where you're like, are they doing this on purpose? Like, there's so many mistakes. There's so much, this or that it's like, are they have to be showing this to us, right? Like, that's too on the nose. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. Okay, sweet. Let's do a little housekeeping, and then we will get into the show. I need to grab this and put it over here real quick so I can get rid of that. Okay, sweet. Let me share my screen real quick, and we'll go through the housekeeping, and then we'll get into it. Trying to get better and better and better about making this part go faster, because I know it's not the funnest, but I do feel like I owe people information, and for the new people that come in that get kind of I've actually run into people from Take on the World that had no idea that we had our own channel, so I just like to mention it to people. So first and foremost, we are, like I just said, on Take on the World. Chris and Liz Bailey of Take on the World are so kind in letting other creators come onto their platform and share with their community. So we just always want to give them thanks for that and the support we get from Take on the World. So thank you over there. And if you don't know Take on the World, we have our own YouTube channel called Circle of the Earth Fellowship. It's at CEF Fellowship, CE Fellowship. So check that out if you'd like to support us. Things like sharing, liking, subscribing, and commenting all actually do help it get in front of more people. So if you'd like to see the community grow, simple things like that, which are free, will definitely help the puzzle piece pile get bigger and get more people in here. And so we thank you for that. As always, we like to read the comments from the last one. We got one on each, so I appreciate to Moonglow for saying thank you. Thank you for sending that comment. Like I said, it does help it grow. And over on CEF, we had Richard Wright 752 say, great work, guys. Appreciate the support there as well. So if you want to support us, go there. If you'd like to join the conversation, we have a Discord. Links in the description below. You can join the Discord. We share memes, recipes, good stuff like that. We also share conspiracies and videos of other content creators. So a great community if you'd like to join. Again, link is in the description. If you'd like to support the channel, we don't do anything on YouTube, not monetarily or anything. There's kind of just two ways. One, come over to the merch store, link in the description, and grab a t-shirt or something that supports the show financially. And if you don't necessarily want something, but you still want to support the show, you can donate as well. Totally up to you. We support anything that we get. So a couple of resources I like to talk about. Bible Gateway, great resource. Bible Hub, great other resource. Has the concordances, the lexicons, all the different versions. You can compare, words. It's such a great resource. And then last but not least is sacredtext.com. Check it out. It has, I would definitely highly recommend the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees. And as right now on Sundays, tomorrow, we're going to be reading the Book of Zebulun. And so if you're interested in checking out the Testament of 12 Patriarchs, never heard of them before, or just want to have someone read them to you, check that out. New one live tomorrow. Sweet. All right. So that is all that I have to do for housekeeping. Go ahead and get rid of that whole tab. And bring up some videos. You're gonna exit. You're gonna like double exit on me and then close everything. What's going on? It won't close. Okay. Sorry, peeps. I gotta. Okay, there. Finally. Weird. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so let's get on to the topic. So predictive programming. I'm going to read off the description of what I kind of wrote off for this episode, and then we'll kind of talk about that, and then we'll get into to the main topic itself. So, sweet. Perfect. Okay, so if one were to look into history, entertainment, literature, and the like, a pattern can be recognized, though typically only visible in retrospect. These occurrences are often seen or attributed as mere coincidence, despite the patterns that indicate a conscious intention. However, this can go too far into the world of pure speculation and can often discredit the actual patterns that exist, muddying the waters for those seeking the clues. What would there be to gain to reveal information about these events before they occur? Do they have to tell us, or is it just mockery? Join us as we discuss the topic of predictive programming and the implications for our and future generations' lives from the perspective of believers seeking the puzzle pieces of truth. So as I kind of laid it out there, it's, there is some muddying of the waters. There is, we all kind of ran into rabbit holes, let's call them, that came to dead ends where there was nothing, other than the fact that it took us away from what we should really be researching or studying. And, we've all run into those type of things or been so hooked onto a certain topic, that it was hard to see the forest from the tree and kind of get mixed in with all of these, thinking all of these things were coming when they weren't. And, we've seen that over the years, and we're definitely seeing that now. And so, yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about, things like this, the imagery of these explosions, of bugs, like Ender's Game as an example is a good example of, that type of this type of imagery. But we've seen this over and over and over before. So what is y'all's thoughts real quick? I'm going to go back through each individual of you and kind of get your idea about predictive programming, where you're at with the idea, and just your general thoughts about it. And then we'll kind of go from there, start showing some stuff. So we'll jump over to you, Robert. What do you think, brother?
So I think that at first I was thinking it was kind of like the Bible code. You remember that Bible code where they find this stuff and it was like, oh, look, it said that this happened and then it happened, right? They always find this like after the fact, they find that information, Now, I think one of the first things that hit me, and I put a little link up there, just a little thing about the Matrix and Neo's license with the 911, September 11th, and that was put out 1999, 2 years before that. So, that's where it started, like saying, and, so a lot of these things, it's like too much of a coincidence to say that
it's pure coincidence.
That it is pure coincidence, right? Where there's definitely something, and there's some. You'll probably be talking about some of the other stuff coming up, of the whole thought process that goes on with it, with who is doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a who, and we can speculate on that part. I feel like that is a part of muddying the waters, right? When we're all trying to nail it down to a specific person or a specific family. I feel like there's good evidence there, but there's nothing concrete enough to be like, we know for a shadow of doubt it's these people. And I feel like that tendency, like I said, can kind of muddy the water because, you're trying to play who did it as opposed to look at the patterns. And with those patterns, like you were saying, they're so like bizarrely coincidence that you're right. It goes to a realm of it can't be coincidence. These patterns, these things are so there. How could it happen? And kind of we'll get into that too, because it's also in history, right? It's not. You were given an example of entertainment, and even through the description, I was talking about entertainment and literature and stuff like that. But it also happens just within the history itself. It's like they almost getting ready for something to come with the certain history that they teach. Well, awesome. Yeah, I totally agree, brother, and I'm excited to get about it more. We'll jump over to you, Curtis. You said in the beginning like that was kind of a big thing to you. So kind of open that up, open that box a little bit more for us.
Yeah. So when I came across originally, I think everybody's like, probably the first thing they come across is, Bart Simpson's with the money, and he's got 911 in the background. Like, it's like, okay, that's interesting. And then you look more, it's like, okay, this guy named Rothschild in like the early like 70s or 80s, he's got like his watch, and like if you zoom in on it, and he's got the towers behind him, and it actually shows the 911 there of September 11th incoming. And then, of course, the one that really got me was it's called A Falling Down. Have you guys ever heard that movie with Michael Douglas? And anyway, he plays this disgruntled employee. Starts off in Los Angeles. It's like the hot day, and he's like pissed off and wants to he's been nice his whole life, and things don't go well with him when he realizes a nice guy doesn't get you anywhere in society. So anyway, there's a convenience store scene, and in the background it says Corona, and the movie came out in 1993. Mm-hmm. So they've been prepping for a long time. And then Marvel's with Captain America at the end of Marvel's movie. You got Corona on one side. Actually, you got the Corona, what is it? I don't even know what it's called. The disease
spore,
thing.
The
disease spike thing. Yeah, and then the Corona, literally a Corona bottle of like beer on the other side of these billboards, right between Captain America. So it's pretty crazy. But anyway, my thoughts on predictive programming, what I think it is. I have some the fact of like Job when it talks about how there's courts of heaven and that Satan was up and down and stuff like that. I think that the controllers, they have to abide by particular rules, and so by telling us what they're doing to us, they're actually obeying those specific rules. It's a tacit agreement where basically if they tell you they're doing something to you, then it's actually not breaking the law, and it's like that they're actually telling you, basically. So yeah. Anyway, that's the basics for me. Anyway, I didn't really jump far into predictive programming, but yeah, that's what I know.
Yeah, and I think knowing that it's there is enough, is sufficient. Because you start, I said in the script of the show that do they, are they doing it to tell us, like, is there some rule there, or are they doing it out of mockery? And I think it's a bit of both. I think they have a mockery heart when they're doing it.
Of course, yeah.
But it is a rule within their religion, and whatever that is, we could speculate on. But they do, and I talk about it in Pieces in Plain Sight. I say they almost believe that if they do it in a cloak and dagger mindset, where they tell you, right, it's like they let you know that it absolves them of any moral, like, kind of backlash that could come back on them, right? And you brought up Job, which is an example. It's like they didn't actually break a law, right? They didn't actually murder you because they told you if you drink that poison, you're gonna die, right? And so they tell you, but then they still present it to you to make that decision. So
yeah, it's the same thing as there's this movie I watched not too long ago, a documentary about smart meters and stuff like that, and they actually will send a pamphlet of like a smart meter pamphlet, and then like someone will just throw it out. But the fact that they sent it to you, it doesn't matter if you looked at it. They then have by law, the tacit agreement says that they actually agreed to it. You agreed to it because you didn't say no. That's what it is. Yeah. That's what I forgot. You didn't say no, so basically that is you saying yes. Mm-hmm. It's look it up. It's true, which is insane because the implications of that is, bro, they can like put some crazy stuff on your home, which they've done, and we all know what smart meters and all that stuff is, what it leads to. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is like it is a form of marketing, predictive programming. I don't think it's just also about telling us this thing. It's also to move the society in a progressive forward sense, forward meaning away from God, right? So they use it as a way to get people to accept ideas and things before they're ready, right? So I'll give you an example of that. Like let's go back to the 90s. People are like, oh, you want a smart device on you that tracks all your movement? People will be no, right? But then they put it within, entertainment. I can't remember specifically. There was this one like Disney movie that I used to watch where they had like a smart home and they had this smart Volkswagen Beetle where you would just get in and it would autonomously drive for you, right? And so even I recognize for myself, like back then as a kid, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to have a smart house. I can't wait to have this car that just drives me around, right? Not thinking about the full implications of it knows where I am all the time. It can control where I go. All of these aspects of freedom are then, deteriorated because of the slight inconveniences of not having to move the wheel or not having to go down and hit the laundry start button. And so,
yeah, that reminds me of predictive programming of Idiocracy. If any of you guys seen that, right? of like the NWO showing just how like people are going to be watching television, eating junk food, and being completely stupid. And that's unfortunately where we are at this point when it comes to the programming that people are under. And then Wall-E, you reminded me of Wall-E, of like how humans are just going to be fat and they're not going to be floating up in space. But basically, yeah, it's just like they're going to be on scooters, and I don't know if we're going to be heading to that, like if we're going to get really that fat, but yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, and it's examples, right? Like within art, there's tons of exaggeration, right? You're always telling a story when you're telling a story because it adds excitement, it adds adventure, whatever it is that you're trying to add, right? So that's obviously there. So sweet. All right, well, let's jump over to you, Kyle. What are your kind of thoughts, your opinions about the subject of the subject as a whole?
Yeah, I think you guys did a pretty good job covering what I personally believe, which is that Satan has this overarching agenda to deceive all mankind, and he's given certain tools to be able to do so. And unfortunately for him, he has to follow by some kind of guideline that restricts him from being totally and utterly deceptive, and where he has to, I guess, put in these fragments of truth. But outside of that, there's more. There's this kind of bread and circus. They'll, I guess, pose these concepts to mankind and see how we as a whole react to them, and so play on more concepts more than others. Whether it's like a world war or nuclear warfare or something like that, where they can, I guess, if they wanted to make something happen, strike you down with a laser beam or strike you down with lightning or blow you up with a bomb or whatever they wanted to do, they have it within their power to do so. It's just more about what will be more effective in deceiving the masses, and that truth that they allow to exist in there. If somebody denies that truth, they're going to be twice the fool. It's just gonna it'll lead them to trust the enemy more, and they won't be at all open to any of the deceptive tactics that he has. So it's kind of a big subject as far as the overarching, expansive topic itself. But I think there is some kind of guideline that's, Satan and his legion have to abide by, because otherwise I don't think they would tell us the truth at all, whether in mockery or not.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that end part in a little bit, but specifically what you're saying about the kind of deal, and I feel like we kind of talked about this in Unclean Spirits, right? Where we saw through Legion in the movie Nefarious, that whole, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But in that movie, he literally says we don't just jump in them and we get them. It's these incremental steps, these incremental choices, yes and no's, that we get out of them that eventually leads to that. And the reason why I feel like that connects is because it's the same kind of thing on your belief system. If they keep telling you openly, hey, I'm going to do this to you, and you accept it, well, then you're going to do things to yourself that you normally wouldn't do. And we kind of saw that through the movie Contagion with the whole pandemic, right? We saw how very similar people acted, right? And self-policing other people. Now think about that. Think about in all the zombie shows, right? The smart characters are the ones that are always like, hey, we got to make sure people are being bitten. We got to make sure that, we got to test them and make sure you got to put them in quarantine. Like, you see these ideas of separating and figuring out who the guy is that has the sickness, right? That mystery of who is it, all throughout the entertainment, through TV shows and movies, etc. So, yeah, it's something that we know they do it, right? We know that they do it. And we can have a couple guesses, good guesses as to why, but we're gonna start off the conversation after we talk to Frankie about some of the things, right? We're gonna show some of those predictive programmings. And I love that Curtis brought up The Simpsons earlier, because The Simpsons is chock full of predictive programming. There are so many instances. Now, you could say that's a coincidence, or you could see it for what it is, a pattern. So, sweet. All right. Well, thank you for those comments, Kyle. We'll jump over to you, Frankie. Tell us what you're thinking, brother.
Yeah. You ever hear the saying, "The world is a stage"?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like we're watching a movie. Everything is scripted, and they've been writing scripts for years, and they're just programming us. They're just showing us what is actually going to happen because they already have it all scripted out. Everything between politics, the beer bug, everything. It's all scripted out. And then they already have plans in the works. And I just hope Yah can protect us like he has through everything else. I believe he will.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also know, that when, and I said often that predictive programming is something that you recognize in retrospect, right? You look back and you're like, that's what most of the things we're going to do today is look back and be like, oh my gosh, see, they told us right here. Look, oh, they told us right there. But for truth seekers, how many of us, watch movies now and we're like, oh, there's something here. Where when we watch a movie now, the difference of the information we're taking in is completely different. And so it's really like scales have been removed from our eyes. And so I think we do see a lot of things coming that we normally wouldn't have seen before because those scales have been removed. So
yeah, you're right. I watch movies all the time looking for clues.
Mm-hmm. And you see them so much more often, right? You see the pictograms, you see the the stars of Saturn, etc. And they're everywhere. They're really everywhere. And they could pick all these different shapes and all these numbers, but they always, for whatever reason, pick certain numbers and certain shapes, So, not to say that those shapes and numbers are evil in themselves, just the fact that they use those as kind of call signs to each other when they're kind of given some hints. So all right, we got a handful of things to share. We're gonna start with some Simpsons stuff. This one, go live. Okay, get rid of that one. And jump back with this a little bit. So I'm going to put a thing over the screen because they're totally going to kill the stream if I just play this openly. So I'm hoping this will help. It will be a little harder to see because of it, but again, it's so that we don't just get straight up copyrighted. And let me add that filter again. Bear with me, everyone, as I change some stuff up. Oops, I gotta go like this. Come on, you can do it. Sorry guys, it's going slow. Okay, there we go. Filter, edit filter. I know y'all can just see the clip right now. But
You want us all to nuke our cameras?
yeah, let's go ahead and shut our cameras off just so it's easier for this to load. Let's add that to 50. Okay, there we go. All right, let's play this first clip.
WROL. It means without the rule of law. Anarchy. The end of civilization. Coming soon to an America near you.
America can't collapse. We're as powerful as ancient Rome.
Homer, meet the Springfield Preppers. What would you do in the case of an EMP?
Electromagnetic pulse.
A burst of radiation that knocks out every electrical system in the country.
Impending doom.
What you reading, Dad?
Honey, everything's fine. There's nothing to worry about.
When things go south, the sheeple will clean out every supermarket in town.
Typical sheeple. So, What have you learned so far from our post-apocalyptic movie marathon?
Guys who call themselves preacher or deacon are very bad. Water is money, unless gasoline is money. And even though lots of things are razor sharp, no one ever shaves.
Hollywood has taught you well, my son.
Here it is, Homer. The Springfield Preppers' top-secret bug-out retreat.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there real quick. Let's keep the cameras off just so that we can keep the conversation flowing.
Yeah, the EMP one, I think that's the next move. And that really, I've been hearing a lot about that.
And we've seen it in a lot of situations. There's a lot of alien movies where they attacked electricity. There's a lot of movies where hackers are bringing down the lines. One of the most recent movies, How It All Ends. I believe that's what it's called, or Leave the World Behind. Leave the World Behind. They literally, lose all their power, and so it's like over and over this idea of us losing power, of the society of our country being brought to an halt because of that. Now, they use EMP, right, as the catalyst, but what are they really trying to say there when they say EMP? They're saying the electrical grid goes down. Now, we know they could blame it on an EMP. Me personally, I don't know if they even exist. They totally could. I'm not saying they don't. They could totally exist, and they could totally set them off. I don't think it's like a nuke like they describe, but that being said, I just, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is how specifically they will muddy the waters. They add all of these things in there, which could be something or could not be nothing. And so I think they do that also. So we were talking about how they purposely, part of the kind of, the thing is to tell us that it's happening. But then I think that they also muddy the waters to not let us know exactly what's happening, right? Like, you don't have one theme that every show does. They all do the same themes over and over, so it's hard to kind of point out one or the other.
In the early 2000s, J.J. Abrams came out with a show called Revolutionary, where they shut off the whole electrical grid, and they had military bases all set up, and they started hunting people, and it was like a survival movie series.
Yeah.
But that came out in the early 2000s. So.
Well, I think that's kind of what you brought up, the whole FEMA thing, right? In these movies, FEMA always comes to the rescue. The World Health Organization always come to the rescue, right? And if people would have listened in those movies, typically if people would have listened to the quote-unquote experts, right, the events, the things wouldn't happen. But there's always dumb people that make dumb decisions, and then all of a sudden it's a worldwide event, right? And often those things are like, here's a movie, Surrogates, right? They have a faction within the Surrogates, within that movie, where it's people that are like, no, we just want to live normal lives. They have those rebels. And so within that movie, you have the rebels, the bad guys, and then the government, the good guys, and those clashes, those, them having that friction in between them, and then the events that come up. It's over and over and over. Let's watch a little bit more of this Simpsons. We got a couple more Simpsons one, and then we'll keep going.
Wow, your end of the world is better than my during the world.
Homer, we all know America's collapse is about 3 months away.
6 weeks at most.
There's always one alarmist. Anyway, when the 4 horsemen ride, we want you and your collaterals right here with us.
Hidden all our supplies behind a fake wall.
Want the basement look cleaner?
See? These are our bug-out bags. In here, it's everything we need to survive.
Survive what?
The looming kablooey.
It's reassuring to see you're aware of the future, but this is all a little creepy.
Creepy? Marge, the apocalypse is coming. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe never. But it's coming. And soon.
I'm going to bed.
So before we let it keep playing, let's talk about that real quick. See how he's just prepared, right? Like, even the being prepared, even having a bug out bag, even having storable food is this crazy wacko thing. And you get the perspective from Homer, right? Where like it could be any day now, and then you get that comment just a little bit. There's always an alarmist, right? And so are we not flooded with this within our community? People, like, how many times, definitely during the beer bug, how many times did literally people say, this is it, they're going to force us, this is the mark, this is, pushing all of this fear, then that muddies the water where it comes out. Truthers look dumb, right? They look like the fools that they wanted to make us to be. And so how much of that is subversion, how much of that is organic, that's debatable. But, here in this example, we literally have Marge being like, oh, it's creepy that you're prepared for something to happen. When in end, that whole, I want to hear y'all's thought about this. Doesn't it seem like everybody thinks that something's coming? Doesn't it seem like everybody feels that something's coming? Is that because of the predictive programming, or is that because there's actually a looming threat? What is y'all's thoughts about that?
My thought is, if the Orange Man gets in, they're going to do something.
Yeah.
Because they don't want that, and if they let him in, that might mean that they want to do something. So that's a double-edged sword. If he gets in, they're going to do something, and if they let him in, that means they want to do something.
Yeah, totally. Real quick, I just thought about this. Do y'all see what the colors are of this electrical discharge?
Yeah, Ukraine.
It looks like a nation's color, a particular nation that's been in the news a lot.
Yeah, and remember blue masks, yellow gloves? That was all within the beer bug, thing too. So, yeah, I think right now, I don't know if y'all are feeling it, but right now it's like, what's next? Like, I'm really thinking, okay, the Ukrainian trend is waning, is waxing and waning. The Gaza-Israel is waxing and waning. The event, like the whole boat hitting, which is pretty interesting because there's tons of predictive programming when it comes to, bridges collapsing. And I don't know if y'all know, but that bridge collapse is actually affecting 1/5 of the United States imports. That bridge being as it is right now. So, even more so, they already had plans to destroy those. There's a lot of weird stuff back behind that bridge, that whole bridge event. But other than that, right, that's kind of in the people's minds and out of the people's minds. What's next? And it may be some type of hacker attack. It may be some type of electronical thing. So let's.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, yeah. A part of me is just there could be a chance that a lot of this is just fear tactics, and that they're just putting feelers out there and kind of testing the water to see how we're going to react, just like, the vaccine and all that stuff. And basically, because the Father's in control ultimately, and so they really can't cause that much destruction in all of the world. Of course, we don't believe that nukes are real and all these cataclysmic things that we should all be worried about on a collective level. I don't think that they actually have that kind of power. So it's just essentially us basically them testing to see how far and how much fear we're going to get into. And I think there could be. What do you guys think about this? Right, quick, is that the demons, unclean spirits, that they feed off of your fear in a sense. So basically, by them creating more, artificial fear, you're giving that energy to them. I don't know. I'm just speculating here.
I definitely think that's a part of it. I think that's energy harvesting. I totally think they energy harvest from people. And I do think that they also, break it. It is a testing grounds, right? Specifically when it comes to the beer bug, right? That's like one of the big thing that happened recently with the whole beer bug happening, right? Like, think about how quickly people freaked out and how quickly people, you know, donned the face coverings even before there was even any type of governmental mandate, right? Which they could never force you to. It was mostly private businesses, you know, asking you to leave their establishment if you weren't, you know, going along with their policy. But what I guess my real point is yeah, so much fear happened. And often, you know, what I think is interesting about predictive programming is they do it, but often, right, they don't even have to do the full thing that they're talking about. You know, it's to kind of talk about elementary or, you know, shootings in general, right? Like, a lot of the time, just with how the media works, I don't know if people have to die. You know, they could just show pictures. How are you going to ever say who that is or who that isn't? Definitely, you know, with the whole AI, you know, generating people, you know, how many of those people back in the past before they told us about AI were just AI generated, right? Someone that's never going to meet the description because that person never existed. And so, yeah, they have all of these tools to induce the fear. I think kind of one of those parts, other than them letting us know, you know, what's going on, is a form of energy harvesting. So, yeah,
But we should all be aware that if it comes time and they feel like they need to, they will bring down, you know, several of their own structures with thousands of people in them to push their agenda. It's not, killing is not beyond them.
No,
So
it's definitely not. It's
they
just a lot sloppier.
Fear, exactly. It is a lot sloppier, and it's a lot less effective if it's not something pent up and over time, you know, built up as this thing, this, you know, cataclysm that can be used as, you know, where everyone's sort of spirit is invested in it. They want to make an action based upon it. So I think they use fear in that regard, where they'll build up the boogeyman, and then when the boogeyman strikes, everyone's going to be, you know, ranting and raving to take him down.
Yeah, it's more that obvious, like that attack, like for frontal assault. But then also it's sort of like a mixture of Brave New World, where it's sort of like behind the scenes, and they're giving you drugs and making you happy and, like, you know, content and all that stuff. And those are tests in of themselves. And yeah, it's fascinating. It truly is
wild.
All right, let's finish this clip, get on to a couple more, and then we'll talk about it.
An EMP?
You know what that means?
Hand scissors.
You trying to say something, Vader?
Oh, I sure was. Thank you for that, Frankie B. I like how it ends on, you know, an asteroid going towards Earth with zombies on it, right? Those are literally two things: the zombies and the asteroids. Like, there's the I don't know if y'all saw it, but there was the movie Don't Look Up, and that whole phrase "Don't Look Up" is basically what the government. The United States government is like, hey, they're just trying to scare you. Hey, they're just trying to fearmonger you. You don't need to worry about this, etc., etc., etc. We got a plan to save you. And of course, they utterly fail, and that's kind of the point. There's so much darkness in that movie, but they try to make it as light comedy movie. But so much is that the hood is lifted, and you can see so much of the interior. But yeah, The Simpsons is chock full of this. Let's kind of keep going with the Simpsons theme, and we will talk about it more as I talk about it.
Great!
Who's ready for a kitten?
I am! Make mine Calico!
Here you go.
This whole morning has been wonderful. Too wonderful. You're right. This is it. They're selling us to be crash test dummies.
Oh, please let it be Volvo.
Oh, you children are too suspicious. It's go time.
It's shot day!
Welcome to hell, Man Avenue Medical Plaza. Children, you should be grateful you live in a country where childhood diseases have been practically...
Karate!
Ow! Ah! Ow!
Bart, that hobo skeleton is not a toy.
This is ridiculous. Only babies and ex-junkies are afraid of needles. Stick me, Chuckles. Can I have a lollipop?
Well, that just leaves Bart. Don't forget Maggie. Oh, I got her when your heads were turned. Got her good. Now, Bart, just look out the window. It'll take your mind off the pain. And when you're done, I've got more lollies.
No, thanks. I already helped myself.
Got leaves Bart. Don't forget Maggie. Oh, I got her when you're good. Pain.
That is so sick, guys. Look at that. I don't know if y'all caught that the first time, but Springfield Children's Cemetery.
If you laughed at that, you're going to hell.
What was that, Robert?
I said if you laughed at that, you're going to hell.
Yeah, that's so messed up, but it's like right there in front of your face. They're telling you straight up.
And when you're done, I've got more lollies.
No, thanks. I already helped myself. See you later, inoculator.
You can run, but nobody escapes the needle. Darlene, cancel all my appointments.
But I need that kidney now.
One way or another, I'm gonna find you.
So yeah, I muted that because of the obvious reasons, but I'm gonna let this play kind of as I talk. But you see all of this, you know, they're doing Mike Tyson. They're doing all these stars. They're, you know, he stopped doing surgery. He left to not do surgery so that he could hunt down a child to, you know, inject him. And so these kind of ideas are putting in our faces as this fun, great, you know, happy thing. And even that face pull right there, you know, also that they could jab our kid and inject this stuff to them that isn't necessarily even good, right? Like we can read the inserts, we can see the type of things that they're actually putting into our body. We can look and see that they have, you know, an entire secret judicial
Got a video still playing, Vader.
I know. The whole
still going?
What?
I would like to hear the episode.
No, I get it, bro, but I can only play so much of it. Definitely when it has big popular music on there, it's gonna instantly get me cut off. But what my point is that they're showing these things to get people accepted of it. One, and two, it increases their cortisone level, it increases their fear on these subjects. But then when the subject presents themselves in real life, they're more willing to accept these measures, right? Because they've already kind of gone through that cortisol. It actually is kind of interesting. I just kind of thought about this. Think about this, like the whole inoculation. We're going to give you a little bit of it, so when the full thing comes, your body is ready to accept it, right? Is ready for it to not affect you, right? Isn't that predictive programming exactly what inoculations promise you to have? So
yes, that is what they say. It's also how they used to do it, where they'd like peel off scabs and snort them, or they would administer snake venom in small doses until your body built up a tolerance to handle a full dose.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, here we got another couple-minute video.
I'd like to call to order this secret conclave of America's media empires. We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, in dark rooms glued to their televisions, too terrified to skip the commercials.
Well, I think...
NBC, you are here to listen and not speak. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
A new disease. No one's immune. It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time.
That is smoking. Now, I hate to be the guy who derails what everybody else loves.
He loves being that guy.
But, Janice, we do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
We do have something we've been holding on to, but it hasn't been tested. Get over here, NBC.
Well, we certainly believe in testing, but Wow. Oh, yeah.
So, we've got our deadly disease. Now, we just have to blame it on something that's in every household, something that people are a little bit afraid of already. House cat flu is coming, people. The Center for Disease Disinformation predicts with some degree of probability that the house cat flu might spread in the following hypothetical outbreak pattern. So petter beware, that warm body on your lap just might be ready to destroy your tender fiddles. Springfielders are advised to stay tuned for more information if they experience any of the following symptoms: mild thirst, occasional hunger, tiredness at night.
That's quite funny, right? Because like literally mild hunger, tiredness at night, like isn't that literally what we went through, where they gave us symptoms that everyone has for any type of illness, and then that's the reason why they know that the illness is bad? Oh my Lanta. And they put this stuff right in front of us, right? And they use cats as kind of the catalyst here. We know with ours, it was everyone, right? It wasn't just cats. Like you hear they're like, oh, we want to do it like the this and this, but instead of sharks, it's everyone. And instead of the summer, it's all the time. Well, instead of, cats, it's people. And instead of, it being entertainment, it's in real life. Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I didn't have anything to say. I was just laughing because it reminded me of just only a few years ago when this was a lot more relevant, and we were facing the full-on onslaught of the whole COVID programming.
Right. But the symptoms were no symptoms.
You remember
that? You don't have a symptom, you got it.
Oh yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, where it was literally, they made it so everyone was the terrorist, right? Everyone was the cat in that example.
Especially everyone that didn't get the jabber.
Yeah, and so it's
all asymptomatic. You could have it and not know you have it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, insane. And so it's not, it's not just, these big overarching plans or events that happen. Sometimes it's to shift, to change the morality or the general, belief system of the public, of the people. And so an example like that, before we get into this video, an example like that is the whole sodomy culture. Right. And what I mean by that is how in movies they were slowly portrayed as these, good people, good-hearted people. They just love someone different. They weren't supposed to, where they almost made you root for these people as individuals within this entertainment setting. So in your heart, when those events, those people would come around, you are more likely to accept them because you don't want to be like that mean person that messed with them in that movie. You want to be the main character, the good person. And so they use it to set morality, and they also get it for people to accept behaviors that wouldn't be accepted without that kind of preconditioning, that predictive programming. So this is about adrenochrome. Let's check this out. It's only 19 seconds long.
Smithers, I'm back in the pink, full of pith and vinegar.
Just remarkable, sir.
You know, it's funny, Smithers. I tried every tincture and poultice and tonic and patent medicine there is. And all I really needed was the blood of a young boy. By the way, what was the lad's name?
Pretty weird movement there at the end. Let me play that again.
Lad's name.
Let me go back.
Boy. The blood of a young boy.
Weird. Weird hand movement. Do y'all agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but for me, like, for some reason, it reminds me the window in the background reminds me of that video that was found of the Buckingham Palace with the child coming out of the window on like climbing down from the window. I'm not sure you guys remember that.
Oh,
but, yeah. But anyway, but also, have you guys seen the movie Dr. Sleep, where literally the premise of that is these gypsies go around extracting the life force from children. And it's apparently based off of The Shining, but it really isn't. But yeah,
so
it's all over the place.
So something like this statement as, "Oh, I've been searching for all of these things all my life, but here it happened to be after all that I just needed the blood of a young boy," right? So it's like said in this show, which is already a comedy that is already a parody of American life. And over they slip in these things where when people hear it, it doesn't really register. It's just a joke in their mind. And so I'm going to bring up Owen Benjamin real quick, where he talks about, and I completely agree, is that funny. They don't like funny because funny has an ability, definitely through like stand-up comedians and just funny ideas, to reveal truth that's out there. And the reason why they don't like funny in that manner is because they use funny to pull these tricks, to pull the scales over people's eyes so that they can make these statements in front of you, be like, "Hey, we told you we did this." And they're like, "Well, it was entertainment." Yeah, but the dude who makes who the creator of The Simpsons, let's look at I invite y'all to look into him, to look into his connections to organizations, and it's just everywhere. So sweet. Okay, so I got a few videos else I got to share. I'm gonna jump over to this real quick because we're talking about entertainment, and Robert was talking about this earlier. But yeah, something like this: September 11th, 2001. 01 is when he was born. That's in the movie, guys. He was born on September 11th. That's just so weird, guys. It's just so weird. And they do those things, right? That came out in 1999. So 2 years later, they just happened to predict a major event. And think about this. There's 365 days in a year in the Gregorian calendar, right? So the odds of them guessing that specific one, right? Okay, that's in a year. Well, that's 2 years before. Just the odds of them picking that number at random is so ridiculous.
Also, there's this as well. I'm sorry, Robert. You go ahead. You went first.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just one thing on that. It's not when he was born. It's when the license expires.
Oh, it's when it expires. Okay, it's not when he was born.
Yes, it expires. 9/11 expires.
Which kind of makes sense because the building's definitely expired.
Oh, yeah, totally. Was this right here his birth? Does it say September 13th? I can't read what it says here. Looks like 13 SEP.
Yeah, it's 13. Yeah.
So the day after, I can't see what this says right here.
When you said that it was his birthday, I was thinking because in Matrix he calls himself, or what doesn't call himself, but there's a lot of Antichrist imagery, and the fact that a lot of people say that Christ was actually born on September 11th. So
I don't say, what I would say about that is like it wouldn't surprise me if they picked that day. You know what I mean? Like if that was actually a day that we should celebrate, but they made it a day of mourning. That I could easily not put that past them. I'll say it like that. So, okay, sweet.
yeah, for sure.
Let's pull this up. Okay, we're not going to do that one yet. We kind of already talked about that. Okay, we're going to get into that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing real quick. Let's pull up our cameras again and kind of chat a little bit about this. And we can kind of do some stuff on the fly as well. Also going to pull up some of the other ones that people shared with me right now. Okay, so okay. So with predictive programming and kind of the examples that we've brought up, let's kind of talk about what y'all think is coming for the future. I know people have kind of already talked about it in their own ways, but let's kind of like get into a little more specific. So, but this is all based upon the predictive programming, right? We're not making prophecies here, guys. We're just kind of using the things that we've seen and the thoughts that we've had to kind of come to some predictive conclusions on what might occur. So I'll kind of go first, and then I'll let y'all follow up on it. So to me, I think, and I'm going to point to this. I feel like this is the big enchilada. I feel like Revelation 9, specifically about the fifth trumpet, I feel like that's what this is. They also showed the comet, and we've seen the comets coming over and over. I think that's going to be tied into a comet, an asteroid, a meteorite, whatever you want to call it. And I think that will bring in the aliens. And I could show you hundreds of movies and video games about alien invasions, us fighting aliens, us having to deal with aliens, in all shapes and forms. Now, I also believe that the aliens, as described in Revelation 9, are those stings are going to cause a medical emergency. It's going to make people who get stung long to die, and death will flee away from them. And that whole concept of what that feeling of what that would be. And then this is a worldwide event where these people are being stung. And then from the kind of continuing on that with the eschatology of Revelation, then at the quickly after that, we're going to have the mark of the beast, which could very well be a cure for this sting, from these locusts. And I think that is the big paradigm shifting thing that's going to happen. Now, maybe I'm kind of talking too much micro level of what I believe, but I also, coming down to the micro level of the conversation, I feel like they've kind of really been pushing a civil war, some type of currency reset, right? And I believe they could kind of get all their eggs in that basket with a financial currency reset, in which they go to a digital or a central bank digital currency, And because of the dollars, all of the corruption, all of the, let's say, they could use the Mexican drug cartels as to say, like, we need to get rid of this money because all these people have all this money and influence because of this money. So for America's sake, we need to switch over to this new currency to kind of restart everyone on equal, footing. And so I feel like a lot of people have issues with the financial system. They have issues with the, current CEO makes, all of this money, and the individual worker is barely getting by and, has a 1-bedroom apartment, while the CEO has multiple vacation homes and multiple exotic cars, etc. So I feel like that's kind of what's been predictive programming. But I will say, kind of ending this, and I'd kind of like to hear y'all's thoughts too, is they don't always get what they want, right? Sometimes they push for the whole thing and they only get 1/8 of it. Sometimes they push, for 50% of it and they get 25. So, the kind of outcome, the output, the output that they get to induce that input isn't always what they want, but they, sometimes they get pretty close. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but each of you, I'd like to kind of get y'all's thoughts in that summation.
You bring up a good point with the cartel. They use money to make their deals and exchange everything. So they might not actually do the digital dollar because of that. But it might be a looming threat over us. Just something to bring fear, something to bring revolt, something to bring a pushback, because they like a pushback. They want a pushback. They want to see who is going to push back. You know what I mean? You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. They put out, like, that's a great point, is all the revolution, the people standing up and taking the government back, right? You have like an example like The Purge. I don't know if any of y'all have seen that movie or those series of movies. But in that movie, there's a day, they create this law where there's a day once out of the year where for 12 hours, all these crimes are totally legal to do. Murder, theft, etc. But in that, if you keep watching those movies, what it basically reveals is there's the new founding fathers who want a nation reborn, right? Bringing back the real, like religious. So in that series, they eventually get religious about the purge and about removing their sin from their lives by purging and getting out their hate and getting out their, right? So that whole, and then we have the January 6th thing, right? So it's interesting. I don't know if January 6th was like it almost felt like a try it and see what happens, right? As opposed to them allowing it to go to this, they could have totally had people in there open up fire, start shooting the guards, start burning the building. Like, they could have totally escalated it to that point if they wanted to. So why didn't they? Well, it's a thing about moral high ground, right? Like, they can't just go in and kill everyone because then they're the evil people. So they have to set it up. They have to predictive programming to get certain groups marginalized so that they can be attacked and get rid of, divide and conquer. Sweet, but let's go through everyone. Start with you, Robert. What do you kind of think that they're planning, or what do you kind of see coming? From your perspective.
So I think as far as the alien invasion, everyone's talking about the alien invasion. That seems to me like an end game. I mean, you throw that out there, that's life changing. That's more life changing than what we've had in the past 3 years. I mean, and there's no reversing that.
That's paradigm shifting.
Yeah, so that's huge. That's huge. When they do that, that we're getting right near to the nitty gritty.
Oh yeah.
And that's also going to back up their globe theory too. Sorry, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that may or may not. I don't know. but they definitely we know we're already on a fiat dollar and all that, and they control that, and as long as it's still out there, they still have control of it. So, I think they definitely want to control the populace, and they want to have that elite status, kind of like you were touching on there, Vader. Is too many people can be elites now. So, why be an elite? So that's part of it there. They got to keep us down. I don't know about the population wipeout, because I don't know how that fits into Bible prophecy, and Revelations. I know there's going to be a time when we're going to lose a large population, but I don't think we're going to be losing that 1/3 or whatever prior to that point. So, mute.
I feel like what you were kind of mentioning with the end game, I agree with that. But I also well, let's keep going, because I know what what Frankie's going to talk about, and I kind of get to him eventually when it's his turn. But let's get other people's, and we'll kind of open this up at the end to have a general discussion. So let's go ahead, Curtis. Let's hear what your thoughts are, brother.
Yeah, so my predictions, just from sort of like the climate and everything else, and from my research, I haven't really looked into the truther stuff in a while, but I still think that Trump's got a lot to do with it. That this whole idea of Biden being in and everybody just hating him and things just being terrible, and him being openly like just comatose on the podium, and everybody knows it. And it's getting so obvious, and it's literally clown world out there in all areas. So essentially, Trump's going to come in the election. He's going to win, and it's going to be a freaking flood of red. And most people are going to be on board with it, even the liberals, because they see the cities that are being absolutely destroyed by policies of letting drug addicts free with $1,000, over $1,000 crime, to just go in and rob places, or to allow all drugs to be legal, and people are just dying in the streets, and it is absolutely brutal.
And they're giving tons of money to non-citizens, right? While citizens are in need of it, they're giving it to people who came here, in not the correct fashion.
That's right. Yeah, there's also, you have over in Europe, right? Like, not even in America, but in Europe, you got immigration that, countries like Libya and Afghanistan and all these areas that are like third world, that come into like Paris and UK and all these different places, major cities of Western society, and decimate them. Turn them into mixing pots of cultures, which of course that's what the elites want to be done. So you have these like race wars going on, and it's brutal. So I think that Trump is going to correct all those things. He's going to be the savior for all of us, and there's so many people on board already with that. There's literally a book called the Trump, Little Trump, or something like that, or Baron Trump, or it's basically a book talking about the future of some like savior guy that's like a Trump character that is essentially going to save the world. So anyway, that's going to happen, and I think that not long after, he's going to talk about Space Force. Space Force is going to kind of open up that idea of aliens, that these aliens are going to come, because they're already predictive programming with the UFOs to make that just commonplace. So when they come down, they're basically going to be like, hey guys, so we're your creators. It's a panspermia situation. You're gods and everything else, like Jesus and everything else, like he's up there with us, and we're kind of like with him. So you have to bow to us, kind of thing. And I think that it's kind of been on the cards in the New Age movement for a long time that Trump's going to greet the alien, Lyrian and starseed beings on the White House yard, and it's going to be, they're going to release technology. The new technology things are going to be really good for a couple of years. I think there's going to be an acclamation, because you can't have aliens that are going to come down and then automatically everybody's just going to like bow to them and it's going to be okay and everyone's going to love them. No, they have to like bit by bit kind of reveal themselves and like get people acclimated to the idea of them being part of their lives, so that they become part of like this, like they start loving on them because they're giving them technologies and everything else. I think that's the long-term plan, honestly. And then from there, that's when they're going to be like, also, yeah, so there's some other people that are not really like on the vibration as you guys, and they're kind of the Christians, so like we need to take them out, and people are going to rise up against us and persecute us and kill us off.
Yeah, that reminds me of the movie V. Remember the show V?
Oh, yeah.
It's exactly like that.
Remember the 5th of November, yeah.
Yeah, and that was projective programming. If everything you're saying is in a book, or is that what you said? It's in a book, right?
No, I was just using an example of, I just knew that Darren Trumper, there was this like book of a channel book talking about Barron Trump, that's it, yeah. But yeah, the rest of it is just my logic of like putting the pieces together of what I think based off with the alien invasion and the fact that, Trump is right now, he is popular, and it just doesn't make sense to me with Joe Biden being so like ridiculous as he is, and somehow they're going to be voting in another liberal, and we know that Trump has a plan. But I don't think Trump is good at all. Like, I think that he's totally on the wrong side, and he's going to he's part of the deception, absolutely. So yeah. Anyway, one other last thing. I also think that, because like I just don't think there's going to be like a cataclysmic event or this like massive like attack, civil war, China coming into America, all this crazy stuff, because of artificial intelligence, because of the rise of AI. Like, they got reality collapse, these the AI tech guys that are actually warning people against artificial intelligence. And I think part of the New World Order's plan is to acclimate us to technology to the point where we like love it, right? And when we get that, then they're going to be able to basically bring in the idea that, hey, this AI is your friend, but it's actually demons. And another predictive programming one is Her. Have you ever seen that with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson? And they basically he's working at this card company, this like Hallmark card company, writing up people's cards for them, to love on their husbands and stuff. It's crazy. But anyway, he falls in love with an artificial intelligence, and it's like a romance thing. And that's what's happening right now with things. So I think there's just so many crazy things that are happening in society that is just going to push people further into sin. And I think if there was war and everything, then it would just destroy those plans. I just assume that, I don't know. I'll just end it here. I just think that it's obvious. It's too obvious for it to just be war and everything else. The wars these days are not caused by tanks and bullets. All that stuff is, we're in the technological age here now. So I think that's where the shit's going to happen. But anyway, yeah, I'll end it there.
Okay, sweet. All right, we'll jump over to you, Kyle. Give us your thoughts, brother.
Yeah, man. I personally don't think anything like crazy is going to happen right away, immediately. But I definitely agree with like the line of thinking that Curtis brought up. I'm not sure, which individual is going to be the one who brings that whole thing to pass. Anyways, but I do generally agree with the narrative there, about this needing weapons to fight off fake aliens, and needing the world to unite together, and using technology to do it, and getting everyone to come under a one world government and religion, essentially. Obviously taking some kind of technological mark or something like that. And I think obviously these things are all biblical as well, but that's about as far as I can lay my faith in my own predictions. Is I can just say, well, what does the Bible say is going to happen, and then I just try to align with that because I can't really be sure they could take another 100 years to carry out those plans. I don't personally think that will happen, but it very well could.
Totally, yeah, no, and I respect that. I think on the micro level, obviously my kind of prediction is based on the Bible, so I'm not really predicting anything, but I definitely see it through the predictive programming. We see it over and over and over. That's one of the, kind of not unintended, but like subconscious thing that people accept. I'll say often subconscious because they often also maybe not pronounce this, to the world, is if you believe in space in a heliocentric model and how big it is, then you have to believe in this, and you believe that this happened, random occurrence produced life and all of this abundance of variation, then you have to believe somewhere else that exact same thing happened. The odds and chances of it not happening are actually more absurd than it happening, right? And so I think you bring up some really good points. Okay, let's get Frankie's opinion. We're going to open it up to a little general of a talk real quick, and then we're going to show some more videos before we call it. What are we at? We're already at hour 30. Didn't that hour 30 go by like 5 minutes? It felt like we've been watching stuff for 5 minutes.
Yeah, Carl said something that reminded Kyle. Yeah, Kyle.
Okay.
Said something that reminded me about a TV show. What were you saying again, Kyle?
Which part specifically? I'm sorry.
In the beginning. Damn, it was a TV show that.
Yeah. If you can.
Reagan said that a alien invasion would be something that would unite the world. That's what. And that when you said that, uniting the world, an alien invasion, Reagan said that. So that's
he said that multiple times, and Clinton said that as well on a Jimmy Fallon or something. Obama probably said it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pre-programming too.
Oh yeah, and that's why I say it through the history, right? Because history isn't. I'm not saying that history is true, right? It's man's recounting of past events, right? Well, if you look up, let's say 9/11, right, you're going to get a history of what they say happened. That's all history is, right? And so even in history there's predictive programming because they set up certain narratives so that they can bring other narratives to the forefront. An example of that is like the whole BLM thing, right? Where we all know that all lives matter, that every single human being is an image of God, no matter the amount of melanin in their skin, right? And so it's like they put those movies like Roots and whatever, the 40 Years a Slave or whatever, all those examples within the entertainment to get them mad, to get them upset, to get them, and you even see that in The Purge. So awesome. Okay, so did you have any more that you really wanted to share about kind of your micro and macro level of events to come, Frankie, before we open it up to general?
Well, that's what I was. Kurt was saying about the Orange Man winning. Even if he does win, I think it's going to give them an excuse to do something that they have planned.
Okay.
Whether another beer bug event or something even worse. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think he is what they're going to use to be the reasoning behind it, and they'll blame it on Russia, they'll blame it on China, they'll blame it on some outside of influence.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's my thought about it.
Okay.
So against that would be to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
Go against their program.
So, okay, so let's open it up to general. I have a few comments about what stuff people said. So, first thing, this kind of interconnects with others. Curtis was talking about, like, why are they going to do, like, basically, why would they collapse the system when they have the control? I see that exactly with, like, the EMP, right? Like, why would they shut down our electricity? That would remove their control. That would remove their financial gaining. That would take away from themselves too. That's why I also don't think that they, like, though I believe in chemtrails and the adverse effects of that, I believe they do those type of things limitedly, even with like a worldwide pandemic, right? Because they're going to be affected by it too, right? It's going to affect their lives too. So I do think at a certain point they're going to get to a point of, let's say, stability where they don't need people, and that would be kind of the kill-off event. But then again, why? Because they're making so much money from our labor, from our being a part of their system. So the next... sorry, I'm letting this background noise get rid of it.
I don't think the money really matters to them because...
They print it.
They print it, and they shut the whole world down. And they gave out money. So I don't think I don't think money is a big thing.
Yeah,
it's control. I think it's more control than anything.
Totally. They own the money, right? They can print it unlimitedly. They can write checks that, will never bounce. So yeah, I completely agree with the money part. What I'm saying is that money, right, gives them control. So by us going to their jobs and doing, like the things that we have to do within the society to live, they kind of set it up. So it's hard for them to do something so to the extreme where they lose that control. But then again, I think, we lost Curtis. Maybe he'll come back. But hopefully, what I'm thinking is they're like, well, we can do a killing off and then bring back. And then when we bring it back, right, that's when we're going to start making the utopia once we get this digital currency, etc. But I even have issues with that. Okay. Another, what are y'all's thoughts about that? About them shutting down their own control? Anyone? I don't. We not. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Anyone?
Them shutting down control?
Yeah, they're shutting down their own control, right? If they do an EMP attack or a hacker attack and shut down the electricity, like all their smart meters, all their devices that allow, like the batteries, being able to videotape us and record us from our phones, from our laptops, right? All of that goes away. So why would
it would have to be temporary, or else they'd lose not only their control but the people they control as well. That absolutely would die without that platform to sustain them. A majority of those people.
Right. They would do it for a short period just to cause anarchy and destruction and fear. And that level of fear and panic, if Kurt was right, that it feeds the demons, would give them a big dose of adrenaline or adrenochrome or whatever they're feeding on. If fear is one of the things that they feed on, even a day would give them a big old boost. You know what I mean? Because it would be a nationwide or worldwide fear if they shut the whole grid off.
Okay, but here, let me give you an example. Let's say they did it for 6 months. Who are the people that are going to be dying? Where are they going to be dying? They're going to be dying in the cities. All the people they control that vote the ways they want. So if they do that, then if they restore the system, all the people left are going to be like, we knew you were going to do this to us. We get what happened. You did that. So I'm just saying it doesn't jive well that if it's like this, don't give up power. So don't give up your power so easily because it's hard to get it back. You know what I mean? Like
that level of fear would cause people to do whatever they want.
Yeah, or unless they went after those individuals that they had been sort of targeting and saying these guys are risky, these guys are going against
Okay.
the indoctrination, and they coordinate
Or
multiple things at the same time to occur.
They could
if they
even
did it to
use. They
one
could.
city, they might just do it to one city just to show how much power they have.
Well, not only that, but
But
they
shut off Chicago. Chicago would implode. People would go nuts. It would be death, mayhem, and
But then, if they did it like a nationwide thing, they could then go to the cities and say, "Hey, join the local militia, right? And we will feed you and clothe you and give you housing."
FEMA would be there.
Right? A lot of people would join that if they were looking out and basically seeing forever purge or somewhat of order. I'm just giving up some freedom, right? In order to do this. Yeah, you know what? Like people may choose that.
Everything they do does backfire. Because like the beer bug opened up so many people's eyes. Now
it
more
always
people
does.
will think in this realm. So
You're right.
everything they do just gives a little more level of awareness and awakeness.
It definitely does swing back back to the other side of the pendulum. You know, as much as it goes far that way, it comes back that way. What were you going to say, Robert?
Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't go all the way back to where it was, though.
Yeah.
I was saying in your idea of the EMP, and I would think there would be like a Hegelian dialect that they would have a solution for that, and they would already have the solution ready. You know, maybe they have new phones for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, all those new phones would come with the plan, and
they're unhackable.
And yeah, something, you know, and then more control.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I could totally see that as a problem action solution, right? Like they're literally setting it up. You know, they're setting the ball so they can spike it. I totally get that. Another subject I want to talk about is aliens in the news. Now think about this. 50 years ago, no professional reporter, journalist would talk about aliens, right? That was something preposterous. You would never even kind of like that's for the tabloids to talk about. We don't talk about that on, you know, main journalism. But slowly through the movies and that what I was talking about before, that subconscious, you know, acceptance of, if you believe in the heliocentric model, surely if there's all those stars, all those planets, something out there, life exists, and the chances of it being intelligent, well, we're here, so the chances seem pretty high, right? If all the kind of building blocks are there. So that being the case, don't you think it's interesting how through the entertainment people slowly accepted to where now they're kind of challenging the government into they're kind of challenging the government into saying, hey, give us this information about aliens. We know they exist. We know they're there. You get what I'm saying? That kind of little jig they do. What are y'all's thoughts about that? Anyone?
Repeat the question again.
So, like, just how aliens back 50 years ago in the news weren't really accepted. No professional would talk about aliens and spacecrafts really in the news. That was more for the tabloids. But through the entertainment and pop culture over time, people have come to accept that aliens are a fact, right? They've never seen them. At this point, don't you think people are... It's just a matter of time before aliens are revealed? They've probably already been here. Don't you think that's the general consensus of the public?
Disclosure. Like
yeah. Well, now they're openly coming out and saying that the government has top secret information on them, and now it's going for the mainstream media, where before it was all just sightings and conspiracies and
crazy people,
a myth, and it was a lot of them were said to be hoax, weather balloons.
And I think about Men in Black, right? where he's like, oh, we need a tip. And so he goes in and he buys all the tabloids that have all these ridiculous titles and stuff. And he's like, this is the best source of this information. And so, like, that example of, oh, those crazy people who believed in aliens, look, they were right the whole time. The conspiracy theorists were right. You know what I mean? So they're kind of, it's kind of like this, you know, where they sneak in and they take control. Okay, last thing, and since we've been talking about entertainment, and okay, well, let's, before we get into that, because we don't have a ton of time left, we're gonna play a few short videos, and then we're gonna kind of wrap up the conversation with Frankie B. We're gonna talk a little bit about music, and I think that's a good time to bring up this last thing that I wanted to talk about. That I wrote down. So let's play a few of these videos and we'll check it out. So drop your cam and we'll bring up the videos. Live. Make that big for y'all. Oh, full screen. And make this a little bit bigger. Perfect. All right, we're gonna watch this video.
Following this new security warning right here in the U.S. from the FBI and Homeland Security, warning of potential threats to public gatherings, the timing of this and why they're concerned tonight. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, with late reporting.
Tonight, FBI and Homeland Security officials are warning U.S. law enforcement about the potential for terror inspired by that deadly ISIS attack in Moscow targeting a concert hall. The concern, according to the bulletin, violence targeting mass gatherings such as sports stadiums, concert venues, or houses of worship in the United States. Law enforcement told to be on the lookout for any suspicious activity. The bulletin coming just days before millions will gather to watch the eclipse on Monday. Authorities say following the Moscow attack, ISIS and its supporters celebrated the assault and shared graphic and violent attack footage, the terror group calling for similar attacks in the United States.
I'm told U.S. law enforcement is being urged to take this bulletin seriously. Sources say ISIS remains a very real threat, David.
Pierre Thomas, live in Washington. Pierre, thank you. U.S.
This part of the scene on the streets of Tehran, Iranian protesters burning American flags and chanting "Death to America" in response to a strike in Syria that killed one of Tehran's top military commanders. Iran is blaming Israel, vowing to retaliate. Robert Greenway.
There was this huge drone, you know, flying in the middle of nowhere, dropping off thousands of these. I have no idea what it says.
This is from Leave the World Behind.
Death to America. What? Death to America. I mean, I don't know what the rest of this means, but this part, it definitely means death to America. I remember from a game I was playing.
I remember from a game I was playing. So, you know, predictive programming within predictive programming. And what's actually interesting about this is later on in the movie, spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it, another person reveals that on another part of the country, North Korean pamphlets were dropped. So there was a state of confusion all around the world, all around the country, because they, you know, all the sources were different of where the threat or where it was coming from. So yeah, that's definitely in there. And even more so, right, from 9/11, we know that the people that they targeted as the scapegoat, you know, aren't worthy of that scapegoat, because we know that wasn't behind it. Now, of course, anyone who is happy about an event that happened, regardless whether it was real or not, that's not moral to be happy that people died. To be happy about people died, whether they did or not. But anyways, let's check this out. This is more about the Civil War. Oh, well, let's come back to that one, because that one's long. We may not get to it. Let's check what this guy has to say.
Netflix was created for predictive programming. The CEO of Netflix is Mark Bernays Randolph. Sure, nothing fishy there, but then you relate Mark Randolph to his great uncle Edward Bernays, who was the founder of propaganda. So Edward Bernays created methods to convince the public of things that are not true. To dive even deeper, Edward Bernays' uncle is Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis. So just like The Simpsons, Netflix may very well be trying to predictive program things into our reality that are not here yet.
Okay, perfect video, because this guy kind of nails something. I don't know if y'all have, Netflix is obviously chock full of predictive programming, and I think one of the things that stands at the pinnacle the most that is produced by Netflix is Black Mirror. Black Mirror is chock full of predictive programming. I don't know if y'all have seen that. It's the modern day Twilight Zone, but very dark, and so much is predicted.
I agree. That show's unreal. Like, with the level of predictive programming, that almost feels like they're trolling us. With the level that they do it.
Yeah, it's like mockery and their rule.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, this is 17. We also don't have enough. We're gonna play a cut. Let's see. Let me check the time real quick. Okay, we still got like 15 minutes. So let's play a few minutes of this. You know what? No, we're gonna get rid of these. These are long, so I'm gonna jump over here. This is my thing. Let me drop screen share. I'm gonna pull up some more of those, and we can kind of talk about it real quick. Oops. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I just think that it's, I don't know. Do y'all feel like something's coming? Do y'all think that that's just what they're putting out there? Now, are they putting it out there as predictive programming, or do y'all think that general feeling right now is just a energy harvesting exercise?
I don't know. I've felt it my entire life, and that's why I don't know whether to be like, yeah, I'm still feeling it, or like, am I going to feel this my entire life? Is just what people feel. I guess that's really all it is the intuition or a feeling at the end of the day. But I will say, I know more and more and more people who say something's going to happen. They know, they feel, they, intuitively sense that something is definitely coming. And it's like, yeah, I've been feeling that my whole life. Just be patient, It may not even be in our generation. Maybe you're getting antsy for something that's not even within your own lifetime. I have no idea.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think that there is a lot of black pill mentality, and I think that's kind of the point of season 2, right now, is kind of get people away from that. Like, I know we're talking about dark stuff, but at the same time, guys, we don't need to be fearful. We don't need to be sitting here and being, scared of of these events, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and we know that even if they take our life, that we have a promise awaiting us. So it's like, we don't need to be fearful of their schemes and their plans. They're always going to have their scheme and plans. That's what they do. That's the type of that's their operation. So okay, wow. I'm gonna share. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying amen.
Oh yeah. This is, someone dropped this. Endless pursuit encapsulates base conservative politics infused with the Holy Spirit filled perspective. Never give up, never get in. We got all of these, a lot of horrible people's hands all praising, praying for Trump. That's pretty funny for me. That's a good, very predictive. So this is we'll kind of talk about that. I had a big video clip, but I think it's a good check out on Netflix is Leave the World Behind. And I feel like there's all these, and for those that don't know, Obama had part in this movie. This is the clip that Curtis was talking about earlier. You know, the money for the $9 for the 9/11. So we've seen it a whole bunch before, and you know, it says produced by the Obamas. So this movie was literally produced by the Obamas, and it's chock full of it. So I think it's good for truth seekers to watch these things, because it kind of gives us a bead on what they're looking at, what they're thinking about doing, and that can kind of help us, you know, kind of adjust what we're talking about and how we're approaching people to get rid of those black pills, to give them the white pill of hope and faith and mercy and love that is, you know, that we have given from the Father through his Son. And so, you know, we'll get into the unclean spirits wrapping it up. But another thing about Leave the World Behind, it's 2 minutes. We'll, is it saying it's playing? But I don't see it moving. Yeah, it's being crazy. It's not going to want to load. Absolutely predictive programming. Let's check this out. YouTube.
It was doing some good.
Yeah, it was. But it's YouTube. YouTube like does something where it like slows down everything else. We already looked at that. Let's check this out. If it's gonna play. Yeah.
You ever watch Venture Brothers?
Yeah, that's not working either. Let's check this out.
Hey, did you ever watch the Venture Brothers?
I did not. I was before my time.
It's about these two clones, but it's based on Johnny Quest, the brothers.
Oh, okay.
But the brothers are clones. It's
Wow.
It's got a whole lot of pre-programming in it. It's funny though.
I saw this on Witsit. That's crazy that they got away with the CNN. Let's check this out real quick. I think this one's pretty.
Charter City is stunned by the sudden rollout of Rook
What the heck? How does it go from being so good? to
Unlimited's
so
most fantastic
Here we go.
device
Oh, maybe not.
ever.
Let me try to reset it.
Charter City is stunned
Charter City.
by the sudden rollout of Rook.
That's so ridiculous. Okay.
Maybe turn your camera off again.
Oh, totally. Thank you for that. Maybe that's what it is.
Unlimited's most fantastic
Nice, okay.
device ever.
Thank you for that, Rob.
The Smart Mark. Throw your other devices away, because the Smart Mark
That's
is
on
more
his
than just
right
a phone.
hand, by the way.
It's part of you. Use it as cash. Book your travel. And even shoot video. Distribution points are all over the city. And don't let the lines discourage you. The Rook Unlimited Smart Mark is worth the wait.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
And the best part? It's absolutely free. A gift of thanks to our city from Rook Unlimited.
23% of the population has been given the Smart Mark, number 1.
Time to test our system, number 6.
Guys, did y'all just hear those numbers that were mentioned? I'm gonna roll it back real quick. Listen to the numbers that he just uses, like the 3 numbers he uses in a row.
The Flex Fighters are out there somewhere.
.23% of the population has been given the Smart Mark, number 1.
Time to test our system, number 6. The Flex Fighters are out there somewhere. Teaming up with Jonathan Rook. Let's put our new recruits to work. Subtly.
We should find the Flex Fighters.
I ought to find the Flex Fighters.
We should find the flex fighters.
We should find the flex fighters.
Growing up in this city, the streets of Old Town, I saw the worst mankind had to offer. Chaos, disorder. I vowed to make it all change. To make it all better. All these years working in secret. Rising up the ranks of the tech men. It was all leading to this day. Order has finally been established in Charter City. No child will have to fear for their safety again.
The people owe you the greatest of debts, number one, for liberating them from the chaos of their lives.
You're muted, Vader.
It's pretty crazy, right? That they're putting these ideas in kids' heads. And like I was saying before, I had that whole idea of, having a smart house and having a, self-driving car. And, those ideas were literally from the cartoons, from the shows that I was watching as a kid. And we know they go after kids because that's when you can truly influence someone. So yeah, is it really any surprise? We got the same type of Neuralink predictive programming, in Street Fighter in 1995. And of course, we already showed that the Simpsons thing. So we'll go ahead and end that part of the stream, and kind of wrap it up as we come to the end of the stream. Remember, we do have an after show after the stream, so if you're interested in kind of having an uncensored conversation about this, where we can share more clips, without having to pause it and talk, check out the link in the description, check out the Discord, and the event will be there. It's a great community if you're interested in joining. So yeah, guys, I think that, there's all this predictive programming. We've seen the pattern. We've seen the twin peaks, the twin pines, right? And Back to the Future, and then the 9/11 upside down. There's we could literally stream for hours and hours and hours, days and days, and show you all the evidence of things that have happened, and then the predictive programming elements before they happened. And so, it's there. And so it's a part of our lives, right? But we have the best, I don't even want to call it, but we kind of have the best predictive programming, right? Because we know exactly that what the Father has said will come to pass, will come to pass. And we can rely on his mercy and his love, and we can lean on him and have him as the foundation for our lives. Because no matter what, things we may go through, even up till death, we know that he has it all handled, right? And so we should really be able to exist in this world, even though it seems so chaotic, but exist in peace within the, under the wings of the Father. So, I think it's an important thing to talk about. And so this week, right, we're talking about predictive programming, things that have happened. Now, maybe y'all think about this different. Next week, we're talking about propaganda. I feel like propaganda is a retroactive thing that they do, where they take the events that happen and they kind of twist them and skew them to work out kind of in their favor. And so we're going to be getting into that next week. And so I think it kind of working up to what we're talking about soon in a couple weeks is kind of really important, because as we were talking about before, how there is a energy harvesting element to all this shenanigans, right? They are trying to get us in this state of fear, and therefore we act like animals. And if we're like animals, then they can treat us like animals. And so there's a point and purpose to the things that they do. And so while we should be aware of them, of course, we're supposed to be in the world, not of the world. And being in the world, not of the world, we're outside of a lot of these things. So that's kind of my summation of predictive programming. I'd love to hear y'all's kind of final conclusions, thoughts about the subjects, and then we'll say our goodbyes and we'll call it a stream.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the flex fighters.
Okay, I'll let you work on that. What about you, Kyle? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, brother.
You're muted.
We all do
I
it.
apologize. That took a while. If we're all growing up in this type of society, and we're all kind of under the same level of indoctrination. We all play roughly the same amount of video games by the time we're 12 and seeing the same movies. I guess there's just certain people with eyes to see that can help connect those dots a little better than others. But the good thing about all this is we can always go back to everything that they've ever released to us. And whether that event has taken place yet, we can always go back and we can sort of nitpick and pull things apart and find sort of the narrative that they've been pushing the entire time. And regardless if that matters or not, we have the scriptures at the end that hold the ultimate truth. That we'll rely on more so than what they've narrated and written for us. But we definitely have the ability to share that with others and make those connections for them. It's not just random coincidences. This is a blueprint, an outline. These are patterned, like sequential things that they release to us. So if you have eyes to see, you're definitely going to see it, and you won't be able to unsee it every time you watch something.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a blessing, right? Because then we're no longer blinded by those barricades, by those veneers, right? We can see through them and see what they're really trying to say, and I think that's really powerful. Any thoughts, Robert? Any thoughts, Frankie B?
Yeah. There's the Beatles and the British invasion was used to change the culture, and they attacked the younger generation in the 60s. Bring in drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll. The whole Beatles operation was organized by the Tavistock group out of London. And it's like the CIA in America. And that was the beginning of the free generation. The Beatles did not write their own music from 62 to 66. All their music was written and performed for them. All they did was the vocals. I know it's a shock to a lot of people's systems, but it was all part of the pre-programming of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, dude. And think about how much that shifted, right? And not only did that shift, but it also gave people, through the music, through the lyrics, imagine there's no hell below us or heaven above us. It's easy if you try, right? Like they're giving these ideas and they're doing it in this beautiful melodical way, which makes it seem like, oh, this is truth, or they've said it, pieces of truth before, and so you connect then everything they say as truth,
Yeah, let the song "Think for Yourself." Think for yourself, 'cause I won't be there. It's all programming. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, LSD, drug use, marijuana going crazy. That was and then LSD. And then they had the LSD trials in San Francisco, where the Grateful Dead was the house band for that. It was all part of it. Now look at how bad drug use is through this realm. It's insane.
Yeah.
It really was a invasion. It was the British mind invasion. Because it captured the minds of all the youth.
Oh yeah. And they just keep rolling out new ones for the new youth, right? And they change it up. The output they want is the same, but the input is a little bit different for the new generation. Sweet. All right. Well, I think that was a great show, guys. I hope all those in chat, good to see you here, had a good time, listening on to kind of our ideas. I hope those that watched it earlier gleaned some stuff from chat as well. As always, great conversations, great comments happening over there. Don't always have time to get to them, but we do appreciate y'all, all those that join us live and join the conversation. and it's quite awesome. So well, let's go ahead and we'll get ready, say our goodbyes, and then if you'd like again to join the after show, check the links in the description of the video, and you can find it there. And yeah, so let's say our goodbyes. Robert, we'll start off with you, sir.
Alrighty, well, hey, y'all have a great night, great week. What we got? Tuesday. Tuesday is the end of unleavened bread. Yeah. And then oh, you're muted.
It's Wednesday, right?
Is it? Oh, no, wait.
Because it started Wednesday, right? And then 7 days.
Well, I have to revisit the calendar. Well, mine's all kind of messed up. Mine's all kind of messed up anyhow because I got to get the calendar in my phone so that when we make appointments, I mean, you know, it gets all messed up. Everyone's got a different calendar, you know. So have a great week. Looking forward to next week where we go into talking about the propaganda. Which similar to what we've already been talking about, but yeah. So Shabbat Shalom. Shalom.
I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was all spurging out, so I was trying to fix that. I apologize for that. All right, Kyle, if you'd like to say your goodbye, sir.
Yeah, shalom everyone. It's been a great episode. I do look forward to all the future predictive programming and the movies and potential games I might play as I pick them apart. I don't usually enjoy watching them for entertainment purposes, but I definitely enjoy picking them apart for the symbolism, if anything else. So, for those of us who enjoy doing that, yeah, I just look forward to that until it all collapses for good when Yeshua comes.
Yeah.
So, till then, I'll just do my best to have fun and try to keep the Father's commandments. So.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thanks for joining us as always. We'll jump over to you, Frankie B.
Yeah, I just put the link for this YouTube channel, Exposing the Beatles. It's a deep dive. The Beatles were my favorite band growing up, and this is all the occultic symbolism in the Beatles. And he also does a breakdown on his channel how there's no way they could have written Rubber Soul in 30 days, pressed it, put it out to market by Christmas if all the music wasn't pre-recorded and all they had to do was sing over it. So give this guy a check out. It's a deep dive. It's a deep rabbit hole, but it'll open your eyes to a lot of what is going on in this realm. And it was the biggest deception because they pulled it off for 50 years. And I love the Beatles. I love their music. I loved everything about them. But I gave that up. You have to humble yourself to the truth. If you want to find the truth, you really have to humble yourself, be able to change your ideas, be able to change what, is fixed in your mind about what you were told is true, to know, and then God will just continually give you more if you'll humble yourself and have the ability to change your opinion on certain things. So that's a deep dive. Give that guy a like and subscribe to his channel. It's really interesting. So I just hope everybody has a great week. Enjoy Passover, and remember to dig deep, because the truth is out there. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. So have a good week, everyone. Enjoy your Passover. I'm enjoying mine.
Amen, brother. Yes. Yeah, it is out there. Those who seek will find, and that's what this is all about. This is we're after those puzzle pieces of truth, and as we talk about these, we get some of us may not know a lot about a subject, whether on the panel or whether in the chat, and so getting these these ideas presented to you, but from the perspective of, you know, someone who's not trying to sell you a black pill of fear and, you know, doomsday, you know, I think is valuable. So if you think so too, we really do really do appreciate the likes, the subs, the comments, the shares. They again really do help the channel grow. So any of that and all that's free. So but any of that support is very we're very thankful for that, for those that take the time to do those things. So awesome. Well, yep, guys, for those celebrating Passover, I hope you're having a great Passover. I hope your week of unleavened bread is been edifying for you, helping you remove, like you removed that yeast from your household. You are removing that sin from your life. It's such a beautiful imagery. And then, of course, the beautiful imagery of the Passover, you know, the passing over of our sins, like the passing over of the spirit of death. So, so beautiful. Check it out. It is commanded in Scripture, so check it out if you haven't, if you're not doing that. But yeah, let's call it a night. Until next time, guys, Shabbat Shalom, and remember that Abba loved you first. Good night, everybody.
It's your glory. I can see